So how has your journey been? Your homeschooling, with your two geniuses over there. How has the journey been? What does your day look like? What is the schedule? Do you use curriculum? Like, walk us through it.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would have to say a 9. I will say
Ooh,
that I have certain things at my disposal that maybe other parents don't have, which is why I really want to make sure I can share with other parents.
that's
I
right.
do have a retired teacher at my disposal. I live, my mom and I, we live together. I take care of her. So when she's not like feeling like sick or laying down or whatever, and she's up for it and she can get up, she comes over, she teaches the kids or she assists me with teaching. So I have someone who's like, hey, Tamara, she was able to supply me with a list of like, here's what the kids should be learning in each subject for each grade.
Mm.
Now, do you have to follow this, Tamara? No, you don't. It's just a marker so that you get some kind of idea where it's like, okay, he's in fourth grade. He should kind of be getting into the fractions and things like this. Like I appreciated having that. So my day, because I work from home and I homeschool and my son's autistic, our day has to be very structured. Like it
Mm.
can't be different. Um, and thankfully his therapist, his occupational therapist, she made these great like this board where we can put his stickies up. So we start off the morning, they've got to, get ready, eat, wash face, all of that. Then they sit down and they eat because I do believe you can't do school without eating. They figured out that trick, my friend, and they have figured out that if they delay and they don't like if they don't want to go to school, they'll try to delay the eating. That's the whole point. They figure that out though. But they do have to eat first. I believe breakfast, like it's important. It's important. It's the most important part of the day. That's just me. Can't help it. Kids, you need to eat. So they eat their breakfast. And then we sit down and we do homeschooling, believe it or not, classroom time for 1 hour. And I know
Mm.
people might be hearing this and be like, what? Yes. We used to do it when we were in public school for what, 7 hours a day? It felt like a full-time job. Child, I was already checked out.
And didn't
No,
retain nothing. Yes.
didn't retain
7 hours and
anything.
didn't get
No,
nothing.
I already know what I want my kids to learn the next day, and I already have their worksheets. I already have their things ready for them. So the night before, I've already been on my computer scanner, printer, printing out all of their worksheets. They usually don't do more than 3 or 4. And the way my son is set up, he has to have it where he does schoolwork for about 15, 20 minutes and then has to take a 5 minute break because that's just how his mind works. My daughter, on the other hand, she wants to just hurry up and get through it. Like, let me finish so I can get back to doing all of my STEM stuff because she likes doing science projects and she likes to play Minecraft.
Mm.
Okay, cool, no problem. As long as they get that 1 hour of classroom time in, we're good. Then it's my time where I can sit down, do my work from home thing, all of my businesses, doing those things. Usually at about 2 o'clock ish. That's when we have our everybody gather in the living room. It's language learning time and reading time.
Mm.
We read a book and we listen to either a Spanish CD, Mandarin CD. I don't feel like the kids are ready for Korean, but my son somehow found it on YouTube and he plays the song all throughout here. So he's been picking up on Korean. I just
Ah,
can
nice.
recognize the song. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's doing the Korean song now. Okay. So he'll get it before the rest of us do. And then after that, it's quiet time. That's usually around about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Kids need the quiet time. I do remember that from public schools. I remember they used to make us lay down on the mats. I enjoyed that time. I did.
Right.
I did. And I wish they'd have continued it throughout. Like, why do you stop it at kindergarten? Let me have my quiet time in fifth grade. Give me a minute.
Yes.
Like, okay, all right, y'all, it's quiet time. Go sit over there. If you want to go lay on the yoga mat, I don't care. But everybody just shut up for like, okay. But
Yes.
my kids, they do that was just a joke, you guys. It was a joke. We don't tell the kids. Um, but no, we and then they just have their quiet time just to decompress. They don't have to go to sleep. Sometimes they take a nap. Sometimes they just lay there and look at a book, look at their tablet. I don't care as long as you're laying down.
Right. Not
Oh, and
talking
I
to
meant to
me.
tell you,
Please don't
they do
talk to
get
me.
lunch before that. They do get the lunch before quiet time. So Spanish language reading time, and then after that we get lunch. Lunch comes in usually around like the noonish, one-ish time. But and then after that, I kind of just leave them to their devices. Like my kids are at that age where like they've already been conditioned into everything we do is learning. Everything you do in life, you're learning. So usually my son, he'll come back into his room and he'll start playing with magnets. He's in that mode right now. He likes building things with magnets. And then my daughter, she will usually do something like STEMmy. Um, that's another thing where I'm like, I love the idea of like so many homeschool heroes emerging and so many groups and organizations emerging. I recently was able to put my daughter in this STEM camp just for girls. And I was like, this is amazing. Like my daughter was able to make a whole new group of friends,
Yeah.
be around have all these new projects. Her self-esteem went up. I was like, we need this in our life again. So my goal, I'm like, now I got to find 5 more of these programs just like this. Um, but I don't want to do that alone. There are people out there who already know those programs
Yes,
and can just
ma'am.
tell me, hey, Tamara, this one. Like, that's what I mean when I say let's come together and share. Let's throw all this information into one big pot of jambalaya, homeschool info jambalaya. Um, I feel like my days are still somewhat hectic. Like I try my hardest. I don't want you guys to think that I have it together over here. Like as you're listening to this, I do not want y'all to think, "Oh my God, she has just got it together." And I don't. No, there are some days my kids don't wake up until 10 a.m. and the day doesn't start then. There are some days where they do not feel like doing school at all, and I have to chase them through the house. There are some days where I don't feel like giving them school. And I'm like, you remember those days where the teacher would wheel the VCR and TV
The
in? I
TV.
was like, we have
Today.
one of those days. All right, kids, sit down. We're gonna watch this homophone YouTube video, this video about homographs and homophones. They'd be like, we already learned homographs and homophones, mommy. You're gonna learn it again. Just sit down real quick. Mommy's got
Reinforcement. Reinforcement.
uh, we're just gonna revisit it. We're just revisiting it. You have those days sometimes where you're like, I am not prepared today. All right, guys, y'all are gonna be doing a lot of coloring. You're gonna do a lot of STEM work today. This is hey, who wants to make their own popsicles? Who wants to make their own lollipops? We are about to learn something new. Um, but other than that, it's good. Like today, because it's snowing outside, I'm gonna be teaching my kids about so civic law is never going to be fun. You can't, but there's a law in Norfolk that says you have to shovel your sidewalk.
Mm.
Law. You have to. And so I'm gonna go outside with my kids in the snow and I'm gonna shovel the sidewalk. And of course they're gonna ask, why am I doing that? I'm going to explain to them about municipal laws and the city laws and the laws in your community and how they are meant to try and help each other and help protect people. And I'm going to explain, like, hey, if I don't do this, somebody might slip on the ice when they're walking today and they might get hurt. And we don't want that. But they're not going to have any sit down classwork today. Like my mom was like, "Are you going
Oh
to
yeah,
test them
no,
today?"
no
And I
snow
was like,
outside.
"Nah, we're looking at like looks like 2 feet of snow out there. I'm
Yes.
not doing anything except coziness."
Yes. Yes. Sitting
So,
still, honey. Sitting still. Trying to stay warm.
right. Well, I mean, the point of my spiel there was to remind every homeschool parent out there, you don't have to adhere to any strict like requirements. You do what fits you. Do what works for you. Once you find that groove, settle into it and be confident and walk in it with your whole chest.
Yes.
You don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe it to anyone to do it the way they do it. You don't
Yes.
have to try and quote unquote impress someone else or look good for anybody else. This is about making sure your kids learn, understand, and master things in such a way, and they're consistently being exposed to it in a way where they're always practicing it and they're incorporating it into every part of their life. So this is why I say, like right now, my kids are crying because they haven't been out into the snow yet. Okay, like we listen, it is what it is. Like I knew for a fact when I looked at that snow outside today, I was like, these kids aren't gonna have school today. They're not. They're not. And I feel no guilt about it.
As you should not.
But it doesn't change the fact they still can't learn today. Does that make sense? And I think that's,
Mm-hmm.
as a homeschool parent, you have to break yourself out of that conditioning that came from the public school system, that there's this very rigid structure and way that we have to learn. It has to be sitting at a desk. It has to be between the hours of 8 and 3 p.m. And it has to be with these particular books and questions being asked and assignments being assigned. And it literally has to be this way. And it has to be every day. And if you don't, you have failed. And I was able to find that that was not true.
Yes. No,
And as I
not even a little
see,
bit.
and I'm exposed to so many other homeschool kids, and I see how happy they are, how they're glowing, they are exuberant, they have their innocence still. They're still kids. Like we work with public school kids, and I'm like, these kids are grown. Like these kids are
And sad.
and sad, and they're breaking them. These kids. I'm like, y'all talk to. I was like, y'all got grown people problems. How y'all got grown people problems and you 7? Hold on, let's back up. You not supposed to have an old soul yet. So it's it breaks my heart, which is why I do so many of these events and programs and workshops, and we reach out and make sure, like, because we remember those days, and it's like we wish we had that. We wish we had this. We wish somebody had done that for us. We wish someone had created this program for us, but they never did, and that time is gone. But we're here now, and we can give these kids what we didn't have because we know 20 years from now they're going to remember it.
Mm.
And that was that.
Yes, ma'am. That was it. Yeah. So y'all flow, but you have a schedule, but you flow. You flow with it. Um, look, you read the room. Look, you read the room.
Yeah, and we my main thing is, even going into this, I made the decision within my heart and within myself. I said, if my kids can lock down the 3 R's, and I know that sounds mad old school for those of y'all who don't know what the 3 R's are: reading, writing, arithmetic. And y'all are like, writing is not spelled with an R. That's an old school joke. That's an old school joke. The 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic.
I'm with you on that.
So
I'm there with that.
as long as my kids have that foundation, I'm good. Like my kids can count. So now I can move into time and money, where I'm like, all right, you can count, you know how to do multiplication. Now here's the application of it. Can you tell analog time? Because that involves you having to count multiplication by 5.
Mhm.
Can you count out and tell me 25 cent in nickels? Can you tell me how many quarters go into a dollar? Like, this is where we start needing to apply it. Because, honey, in life, this is what you're going to need to know. And here it is. Like, it's happened.
Yes, ma'am. I love it. I love it.